You can't feel sorry for these animals. He'd shoot you in the back the first opportunity he gets.
I thought about what my mother or Sarah would do if they saw me there.
This one's finished. One less to worry about. Why are you standing there with that look on your face? Remember? Those guys wanted to do your girl yesterday. You better get used to it.
I got used to it.
The Mafia series has seen its ups and downs, and then a few more downs. But the one area where it has consistently delivered quality content is the engaging stories it tells. Even when Mafia is at its worst, which has happened more and more in recent years, its narratives are always powerful, excellently written, and just as well acted. And that all started with the very first game in the series, which came out in 2002. Soon, its remake, Mafia Definitive Edition, will be out, and will hopefully tell an already excellent story even better than the original did. While the larger story beats are going to remain the same, developers Hangar 13 have said that the narrative in the remake will be expanded and more fleshed out. So as we wait for the remake to see just how well it retells that story, here we'll be looking back at the original game and recounting its tale from start to finish. This goes without saying, but there are spoilers ahead for all of Mafia 1, so if you've never played the game and plan to go into the remake completely blind, head back now. Mafia takes place across a period of 8 years during the Prohibition era, beginning in 1930, in the fictional city of Lost Heaven, a sort of cross between old-time New York and Chicago. When the story begins, our protagonist, Tommy Angelo, is just an ordinary cab driver who's trying to make an honest living in an economy that is tanking hard thanks to the Great Depression. In the very first scene of the game, we see Tommy on a break between fares, which leads to a chance encounter. Two men are seen driving through the streets at breakneck speeds while being chased by armed attackers, and their car crashes close to where Tommy is marked. These two are Polly and Sam, enforcers of the Salieri crime family, and after their car crashes, they spot Tommy with his cab and immediately strong-arm him into getting them out of there.
Come on!
Where to?
Anywhere! Fast! I hope you're damn fast!
Held at gunpoint, Tommy is forced to drive the two men to safety, which entails an intense chase. Eventually, Tommy is able to lose his tail and drops the two off at the Salieri family base of operations. Sam hands Tommy a thick wad of cash, telling him that the money should be more than enough to cover the costs of repairs to his cab, and then tells him that if he ever finds himself in need of work to make some money, he should come to Don Salieri and call in a favor that he now owes him. Tommy accepts the cash, but he has no intention of working for Salieri. Tommy knows that working for the Mafia is going to bring him nothing but trouble, and trouble is something he wants to stay as far away from as possible. And so he goes about driving his taxi, just as he's always done, making an honest living. Or he tries to, at any rate. Not long after his chance encounter with Polly and Sam, Tommy is ambushed and attacked by two goons of the Morello family. The Morello family is the most influential and largest crime organization in the city of Lost Heaven, and has its fingers in pretty much every pie out there. The Salieri family often has dealings with them, but one such deal in which Polly and Sam were involved didn't go as well as planned, following which it was Tommy who helped them escape in his cab. Now that Morello's goons have tracked him down, they wreck his taxi and come after him, fully armed. Tommy, however, manages to make a run for it, and heads straight to the Salieri's place, deciding to call in his favor, and Polly and Sam scare the Morello goons off. Tommy meets Don Salieri soon afterwards, who offers him a chance not only to get back at Morello, but also inducts him into the family as a driver. Tommy, who no longer has any other employment opportunities, accepts the offer. The first couple of years he's in the Salieri service, things go rather quietly, and Tommy begins wondering whether he might be able to go through his employment under the Don without having to put his life at risk. Within those first couple of years, Tommy also strikes up a friendship with a woman named Sarah, who's the daughter of Luigi, and that friendship quickly grows into a relationship. But that initial quiet doesn't last very long. By 1932, Tommy is not just a driver for the Salieri family anymore. He very much became a full-fledged enforcer. He's taking on jobs that sees him killing people, stealing from them, strong-arming them, and everything else that you'd expect to come with the territory. Tommy, as you might remember, was never a man who wanted that sort of life, and the deeper in he gets, the more he begins to question its morality, which is something that his relationship with Sarah only magnifies. One job in particular sees him arrive at a real crossroads. Tommy is ordered by Frank, Salieri's consigliere, to head to an establishment that recently switched its allegiances to Morello, kill the owner, and destroy the establishment, while also tracking down a woman who works there who has apparently been feeding information about Salieri to Morello to kill her. Tommy heads to the establishment as ordered and is involved in a furious firefight. But when he gets to the informant's room, he discovers that the woman, Michelle, is one of Sarah's best friends. And Tommy is unable to go through with his mission. He refuses to kill her and allows her to leave, on the condition that she leaves Lost Heaven and never returns to the city. Once she's gone, Tommy blows up the establishment as ordered, which of course draws the attention of the cops. And though he's able to escape the police after furious firefights and chases throughout the city, his actions begin taking a toll on him. Tommy descends into a heavy bout of alcoholism, unable to deal with his actions, and he only manages to recover when Salieri's consigliere, Frank, pulls him from the brink, telling him to shape up and get himself together. Following that, Tommy and Frank develop a friendship of their own. Of course, things only get worse from that point on. Sometime in 1933, Salieri discovers that Frank has started informing on him to the government, and the price for that, as you might expect, is death. And the task of hunting Frank down, also as you might expect, is handed to none other than Tommy. He goes about following his orders and manages to figure out where Frank's hiding out, and after going through scores of federal agents, finally manages to confront Frank face to face. What he learns from him, however, only makes him more conflicted. Frank tells him that his wife and child were being held hostage by Morello. Frank managed to work out a deal with the government, who told him that if he cooperated with the prosecutors and fed them information about Salieri's operation, he and his family would be flown back to safety. And Tommy, once again, is unable to bring himself to follow his orders. After recovering evidence against Salieri, he allows Frank to flee, telling him to go to Europe and remain hidden there. Salieri believes the prosecution's case against him has gone bust, and that Frank is dead, for whom he holds a proper funeral. Soon afterward, something finally goes right for Tommy, who is able to enjoy a brief time of happiness in his life when he marries Sarah. The two of them soon have a daughter. The story jumps ahead to 1935, where things really begin heating up. Tommy and Salieri are headed to a restaurant on a fateful day, and Salieri's bodyguard calls in sick, which means the two of them are on their own. Not so coincidentally, the two are also attacked by Morello's men on their way. And though they manage to escape with their lives, the events send Salieri into a fit of fury. First, Tommy is told to track down the bodyguard, who Salieri realizes had turned on him and had been in on Morello's plans. Tommy guns the bodyguard down in his home, at the same time also having to gun down a bunch of civilian witnesses. This, as you might imagine, only weighs on his conscience even more. But things only get more intense from there, and Salieri, who is now embroiled in a full-fledged all-out war with Morello, decides that his rival has to die. But before they can kill Morello, they have to weaken him. To do that, they have to take out two of Morello's strongest allies. The first of these is a corrupt city councilman, whom Tommy is able to kill by sneaking into his birthday party in a steamboat anchored near the city. The second, Morello's brother Sergio, proves to be much trickier. After 3 assassination attempts by Salieri's men on Sergio go horribly wrong, Tommy decides to take the matters into his own hands, and after a dramatic waterfront shootout, finally manages to kill the man. That now, of course, just leaves Morello. The moment of truth finally arrives, and Tommy, Paulie, and Sam are tasked with tracking the mob boss and putting him down once and for all. It's not easy by any means, but after a suitably dramatic face-off, Tommy is able to kill Morello, letting Salieri expand control over all of Lost Heaven. By 1938, that's exactly what's happened, and Salieri becomes the big boss of the city. He exerts control over everything and everyone, and he's become powerful enough to be nearly untouchable. And the ambitions of Salieri's men have also grown, as you might expect. Paulie approaches Tommy and Sam with a proposition to rob a bank, which would go against Salieri's orders. Tommy and Sam, though, make the smart choice and turn the offer down. Not long afterward, they're told to steal a shipment of imported cigars. They find this a little strange, of course, seeing as stealing a shipment of cigars is far too much of a small-time job for the kind of organization that they've become, and what they deal with on a daily basis. But they agree to this anyway. When they do actually steal that shipment, though, they figure out just why Salieri was so intent on this job in particular. They discover that the shipment is actually full of diamonds, and seeing as Salieri very conveniently left that part out, Tommy realizes that their boss meant to keep them in the dark about this while he made loads more cash off the goods than they would have thought. Seeing this, Tommy changes his mind and agrees to do the bank job with Paulie. Surprisingly, the robbery goes off without a hitch, and Tommy and Paulie decide to stash the money at Paulie's apartment so that nobody, especially Salieri, knows that they were involved in the robbery. The next day, however, when Tommy heads to the apartment, he finds Paulie there, dead, riddled with bullets. The phone rings, and Sam, who's on the phone, tells Tommy that he was calling to warn Paulie about the attack. Clearly, he was too late though, and now he tells Tommy that the two of them had been marked for death by Salieri as well. The two of them decide to meet at the city's gallery, but it turns out that Sam never intended to help Tommy after all. He's still loyal to Salieri. It was him who murdered Paulie, and it's him who's been ordered to kill Tommy as well. Sam tells him that it wasn't just the bank job that made Salieri decide to have him killed either, even though it was certainly the catalyst. Salieri, it seems, found out that Tommy didn't kill Michelle and Frank, that he allowed both of them to escape. And though Salieri's men did eventually manage to track them both down and kill them anyway, the boss soon decided that Tommy wasn't a reliable soldier, and that he had to die. A dramatic shootout ensues and ends with Tommy unwillingly killing Sam. Knowing that he's no longer going to be safe in the city, Tommy leaves Lost Heaven with Sarah and their daughter. But of course, he knows that that's just a temporary measure, and that he and his family still aren't truly safe. A few months later, he returns to Lost Heaven and reaches out to Detective Norman, and offers to give evidence of Salieri's criminal wrongdoings in exchange for protection for him and his family. The detective agrees, and the investigation that follows based on Tommy's testimony leads to most of the Salieri family's top members being convicted, and Salieri himself being thrown into jail for life. Tommy, Sarah, and their daughter are sent to the city of Empire Bay, which Mafia 2 fans will be very familiar with, under the Witness Protection Program, where things go well, or well enough for them for several years. Not for too long, though. In 1951, two of Salieri's men managed to track down Tommy and kill him, giving him exactly the end that he had feared he would meet if he got into this life of crime.
Mr. Angelo,
Yes?
Mr. Salieri sends his regards.
And that about does it for this video. If you enjoyed what you watched and want to see more from GamingBolt, you can always hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon next to it. That way you will never miss any of our videos.